top
I don't
song?
think we got to that far in the thing.
No, really. Pull it up on your phone.
Okay.
Who's your number one?
Podcast. Let's get wrapped up. Top songs. I listened 96,000 minutes, 66 days nonstop.
Dang.
1,700 artists. Looking down the barrel of a gun.
What? Who does that?
Beastie Boys.
Oh, Beastie Boys is always your number one?
Yeah. See?
Nice.
And then Offspring, White Stripes, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains.
I would think that if it was actually embarrassing, you probably wouldn't actually tell us what you.
Actually, if it was embarrassing, I would absolutely tell you. Because that would be the funniest thing.
Dude, because I mean, like, okay, if I'm working in the shop and I'm just head down, I don't want anybody at all, to bother me. Noise cancel, 100%. Focused on the work. I got to do this, and I can't distract. Then it's always pop 80s with me. It's like Billy Joel. And I'm going to go. I'm really angry. Okay, let's listen to some Uptown Girl.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that kind of a pick for that scenario, because it's the mental capacity you have to be in to have the thing needed to be done, right? So a lot of times,
because it's super familiar, because that's why I put it on.
You could actually just have it as background noise at that point. If you have a song that I'm jamming to this song and I'm grooving to this song, then you're not necessarily focused on your task at that point. But at the same time, that is
like washing a car. It doesn't matter, and you can vacuum and wash.
But then there's some people who can have that song playing like that, and they're singing to it and being the most productive person in the shop at the same time.
I suppose so. Have you ever washed a car without
good music? No.
Good music and short shorts?
Short. You usually have my bikini briefs on. What are you talking about?
Okay. Well, all right. Well, question number one down. No. Hi, Greg.
Yes, yes, I do have a pair of them. Yes.
Hi, Greg Menan. It's so wonderful to talk to you. This is Sugar, also, and we've been hanging out for a while. How did we meet? I signed up for a class that you were teaching at the greatest academy on the world of the world.
On
right?
The planet,
on the planet of the world that is now defunct.
that is no longer existing. Yes. Unfortunately, it was a fun experience. I got to meet a wonderful people in that fucking class. It was great, including you.
It was super fun. Oh, I loved it. I loved every second.
So much in that class, as much as the students did.
Yeah, it was the Kindig hot rod school. Basically, it was a Kindig Academy.
Yeah,
where we, I guess, the infomercial from Dave Kindig was that we're going to teach you everything you need to become a hot rodder. And here's a little bit of everything.
And we can barely do that in 6 weeks, but we're going to try to shove it all into you in 6 weeks.
But man, we kind of did it. A ton of stuff.
In 6 weeks, yeah.
And it was
we
rad
didn't actually get to all the curriculum that we had planned on top of that. So
okay, but I mean,
you could imagine, we wanted to do plasma table stuff. We wanted to do the 3D scanning stuff. We wanted more dyno time.
It could have been a year-long course, and we wouldn't have enough time.
Yes,
that's how it felt. I mean, but because we were staying late trying to finish some stuff too. But I mean, it was just one of those little things where with Joe, I love Joe. I got a Merry Christmas message from him and Durango making snow angels out in their yard in Wyoming. It was so rad. They're so adorable. I love them so much. That was
one of the craziest couples on the planet.
They still are. They're wonderful. I love them, man. Just like all the arguments and everything else that came out of them, and also just, I've never met a man who's more ambitious, I guess,
or in touch with his emotions.
In touch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he can let him out on the spur of a moment.
Yeah.
All of his emotions, or either, or maybe I should have said they're on his sleeve.
On his sleeve. Yeah.
because he's not sensitive, but all of his emotions are just right there at the surface.
Yeah, but you could also get a guy who's like that, and you find out that they're a rotten human being, and nobody, because they're advertising it. He's advertising his emotions, but
he's not rotten.
No, he's not rotten.
He's a good guy.
He's a wonderful man.
He's a wackadoo son of a gun, but he's a good guy.
Yeah, obsessed about. And one of those beautiful things, and you guys know who these people are. Probably people listening just go, yeah, I have 10 of those in my life or whatever that are obsessed over something that no one else finds value.
Yeah.
And his Ford Falcon.
And it's not that it's invaluable. It's just that nobody else values it. So that makes it invaluable, right? But it's a Ford Fairmont, which is a Fox body underneath, which is a horrible way to represent a Fox body, if you ask me, in a Fairmont. Because you could do everything to a Fox body to a Fairmont, but it still would just be a Fairmont.
Yeah, but it was so cool because you go, tell me about your triple F, as he calls it, and then he just like spurs formed out of his heels, and he just became John Wayne, and he's like going, my triple F, I'm getting it embroidered on my sleeve right now to match the tattoo underneath it. I'm like going, I love you so much.
I can't wait to put T-tops in it.
Oh, dude, he's so rad.
I really hope he gets those T-tops in it.
Dude, I hope so. And I hope it's so great, that car, that it shames the rest of us, And then he'll be one of those things where he writes his autobiography and said, you all doubted me.
I'll be the first one that said I did and I shouldn't have.
I adore him so much because we were trying last day of school because we had gone through. School was, you had electrical course, you had suspension course, we had a all related to hot rod, basically kind of a thing that David Tindig set up so that it would
metal fab, auto body,
and auto body to get you to be a viable employee at his shop, basically. I think
or other hot rod shops.
Sure, and for the industry, because it's impossible to find a course that's like that. Maybe there's 3 of those in the country because Wyotech doesn't really do that anymore.
There is one in Kansas that's really nice.
Is that Hot Rod Institute thing? Or
McPherson or
McPherson, but they do restorations. They don't do hot rod.
Oh, okay.
They do
concourse style.
Yeah, brass era stuff though too, and all these other things. And they are a specific thing because they're how it's like, oh, that's a dying art. That one died off a long time ago. Our hot rods aren't dying off; they're changing.
They are changing,
but
drastically though.
Yeah, but this one is not like, it's not guys setting up with calf high socks with stripes on it, setting up their lawn chairs next to their Vegas. This is guys with handlebar mustaches and saying, that's not the proper horn on the outside of your vehicle on this one, on your Stutz Bearcat. And then
but they're also driving Duesenbergs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Their cars are a lot different. I see the difference. Okay. Yes, but there's also while we were doing this class, I heard of several other, and I'd have to say there's 6 to a dozen other courses, quote unquote, that are offered throughout the country at various, I wouldn't say campuses, but like front range college places that offer somewhat hot rod style classes.
Okay.
There is one in Wyoming. You can go to Wyotech and take a hot rod class.
Okay, still up in Laramie.
Because we had a student who was much like Joe. His name was Greg Fox.
Okay.
And Greg Fox with 2 G's, please. Please. So is that a total of 3 G's?
You're spelling Fox with 3 G's?
So it's a egg? Yeah. I've never understood the thing. There's only one X on the Fox. Why can't we just double up everything, Greg? Anyway, this guy wasn't a green beret, he was a red beret, and he really is one of my heroes. He is another individual that's just a unique wackadoo, but at the same time, all my respect goes out to him.
Okay, cool.
He's lived one of those lives that I don't know if I could have lived through without being a mental case. So,
man, you got any examples? I mean, of what What would he do that you feel like you couldn't do?
Well, he did some tours over, I believe, Afghanistan, Iraq, somewhere like that, right?
Okay.
And there's a book about one of his buddies who sacrificed his life for our country.
Yeah.
And he was in that battalion regiment. I'm not sure the
that's okay.
verbiage and stuff.
Yeah.
But he was with them and fighting. And there's a picture of him and a dozen other guys where they took this compound and they show all the weapons that they were going to be killed by, but they took them. And one guy has one of those shoulder-mounted rocket launchers, and it's like, yeah, Greg, I'm not sure I could get through that. You know, he's like, and it gives me goosebumps just talking about his stories. So,
man, I adore it. That's awesome.
I forgot that one got me off track there.
Well, just basically that Greg was Fox, that he. You're saying that he was probably because he's already been through that stuff. You think it made him the rest of it not too, I don't know, make it not too big of a deal, or
the class.
Yeah, what other stuff? I mean, because Greg Fox came after we did, right?
Yeah,
that was
the
third class, second class,
second class. Yeah,
second class.
Each class got smaller. You guys were 5. The next one was 4. The next one was 3, and then one of the 3 dropped after 3 weeks.
So Greg was the older guy with white hair, right? And he jumped out of planes and stuff too, right?
Yeah,
he was still a pilot.
He was above a
I got to meet him at the graduation there.
He was he was the instructor for the guys that jumped and stuff like that. Safety instructor, told you how to do it.
That's so fun. He had Grand Nationals, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No, Ray Helms has Grand Nationals.
Oh.
No, wait. Yes, Fox has Grand Nationals. Ray Helms has Monte Carlos.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing. The students, I got to know all the students, and all of them still reach out. Like Seferino is reaching out. Where do I get a job? I just sent him another one today. Go apply here, buddy.
I tried to get him hired like 3 times at different shops. Whatever. I tried to get him to come up at Pinky's and stuff and try to work with me there. And I couldn't get him. I worked at Pinky's for a couple years, but yeah.
I can lead him to water he's going to drink or not.
I like Seth. Another guy from the first class, but anyway, that was what I was going to get to, was that Joe on his last day, that obsession of that car, because he brought it into the school while we were working on everything else, and he was doing chassis reinforcements
so we could put T-tops in.
And he was going to cut that roof off of that thing, and
all in the 6 weeks while doing class, also
in his spare time during while we're learning.
But he had all that time in the world.
So cool.
What would he do? Go back to the campground and lay in his tent?
Yeah, he camped out for the class.
3 to 4 weeks of the time he was in the tent. No, after 2 weeks, I pushed for him to get something, and finally got to school to get him a hotel, I think, or I can't remember how, but
yeah,
he got a hotel, and then he got his camper at the campsite.
He has a house. I've been to it. I spent the night there. He's awesome.
He is crazy.
He's just a different guy, and I love it. And he was so cool. But like because when I heard he was like camping out and stuff like that, I'm like going, oh man, dude, do you need a place to stay? He goes, no, man, I'm here on my, fine. And I got my Buick and everything. And he's like, didn't want to take any charity because he's just, whatever, that kind of guy he wanted to be.
Yeah, tough son of a gun.
Tough son of a gun. But yeah, I had but I didn't know that he just didn't want to make the 1.5 hour long drive in the morning. And I'm like, okay, you brought this on yourself. You're on your own.
Yeah.
enjoy the wet blanket and the morning on your tent. But whatever. But yeah.
But I was like, you could use my trailer at least, dude. You don't have to sleep on the ground.
It's so cool.
I mean, if you want to do this to yourself, go ahead. But I'm not going to let you sleep on the ground.
Yeah.
Well, no, I got my camper coming. When? Next week? He's crazy guy.
Yeah. I don't need anything when you actually needed everything. That was awesome. But but self-imposed, but whatever. So I get it. I get when you're just kind of tough, then it's like maybe it doesn't matter to you.
Yeah.
And also getting to enjoy it. Because he was showing me pictures of, check out the sunrise. I get to enjoy and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, buddy.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
He's still living a good life, so can't say nothing.
Yeah. And then like the last day when we're trying to get his car out the door, he cut down through the floorboard.
And cut the
brake line. And it poured out 3 different spots.
3, right? We fixed 2 or 3 spots, because once we fixed one, pressured it up.
Yeah. And
another one.
Yeah. And I was like going, this is well, I wasn't like hooray, but I was like going, we had just done the brake line class like the week before, and we had a bunch of leftover lines that we straightened out and then ran over to his car and put it in, and then
You still had to go buy something though.
And it something happened in it, and it ended up leaking still the line, even though it was heroic. And then we got him a trailer and all that stuff out. But what a class, man! That was such a life-changing thing. I bet you, man. And if you didn't like, if you weren't really crazy into hot rods and already on that path, I think that you probably had to be almost
after that. Well, it seemed like Luis had a different look at his job after that.
Yeah, he did, but he did go, and I talked to him quite a bit afterwards too on the phone. Yeah, and he had a job in the Springs at a hot rod shop.
Yeah,
and
did he continue that, or did he change?
Well, he changed a lot, but then also Facebook, all I see is he's on vacation and stuff and enjoying it with his wife, kind of going around to the islands and stuff. Right? Yeah, but I mean, another military guy, man, it was like a bunch of military guys in hot rod, but it was including Joe, of course. But the because I remember I was talking to him. I go, Luis, I just because I went hardcore at Pinky's hot rod shop up in up north in Fort Collins, which I did get the gig there. And Eric Peratt, who's a dang genius. He's won the Amber Award, he's won the Riddler Award, he's won the Good Guys Best in Show, he's won SEMA Battle of Builders, he's won everything. And that shop is gorgeous, and it has a restaurant on it, and there's girls there, and there's hot rods there, and it's just the best place ever. They have the most equipment and lighting and everything and cleanliness, and I used this class to get that job there, get that gig there. And
it was an amazing job.
And
I don't know why I turned down the job there, but I did.
I don't know, dude. It
didn't feel like the right spot for me. That's all.
Because later on I tried to get you to get a job there too. I tried to get Seth a job there. Tried to get everybody. Joe stopped by too. I mean, everybody. I was like, I'm on board. Come on, pals, let's do this. And but I mean, Eric's so specific, which is probably why he's winning all these awards.
Right.
That when a lot of the times I kind of came in there and had my silly ideas, I go, let's make an amphibious vehicle, whatever. And and then he's, he would just, Eric just kind of like, he's working at stuff. He doesn't really do eye contact. He just looks at you sideways, and then he kind of goes, this guy. And he looks to Joe Hickey, one of the fabricators there, trying to like get him to realize how stupid I am, and like pointing at me while he looks away from me and walks away. And it's like, that was most of our communication. It was so funny. Just like, this guy. But I ended up, but still, shows what he knows, because he hired me to manage the place too. so I guess he couldn't have hated me that much.
Not that much.
No, actually, we're still buddies. But it was actually, okay, I got a story about that. Pinky's Rod Shop. I love Pinky's. They're so cool.
Yes.
Years ago, maybe a decade ago, I walked through one of their open houses, and they had the Triple Penny Roadster up on a display there in it. And it was gorgeous, and it's rotating around this 36 Ford, and it's a milk chocolate brown, and it's probably cost them $1 million, $750,000 or whatever to build. It sold later for like $1.5 million, Barrett. And
wow.
But gorgeous. But I just remember seeing that thing rotating around, going, I need to work here. I need to do this.
Right.
Dream
job.
Dream job. How do I do this?
This is where I want to be.
Yeah, exactly. While I was turning wrenches at car dealerships, but
how do I get there?
Yeah, and so, so then decade later or whatever, I'm managing the place, and having tours and everything coming through that shop. But it was just like, yeah, it was amazing. And but I had worked there for a while. Uh, Eric said, we're kind of doubling up what you can do versus what our customers need, basically. And I saw it too. I'm like going, okay, we didn't have a lot of cars in there because we were focused on very few cars. And then so Eric ended up firing me. And I'm like going, dream job over. I go back home to start whatever, turning wrenches on Volkswagens in my garage or something, and then I basically kept talking to Eric actually on my exit interview, and turned it into becoming manager of the shop instead of becoming a wrench in the shop. And we went to the Grand National Roadster Show that like next weekend. I still didn't have the job, but I talked to him, and then just did everything I could to be a great employee, unpaid employee, while I was at the booth saying, "This is the car that we worked on." That we worked on, and like, not saying, "Oh, I got fired" to all these people who walk by, but just
for free,
just kept saying, "Hey, it was so fun." But I had a blast, and then and then Eric, like last day, goes, "All right, man, we got to talk." And then he made me manager. And I ran the place wonderfully and brilliantly for the next year. But had a good time there and tried to get a bunch of friends hired on, but then have since left to do my own thing. I don't know, Greg, what got you into hot rods? Was there ever like an aha moment, or were you always a Kia Hyundai guy and you're like, "Oh, this is it for the rest of my life"? Maybe.
So I was thinking, I've been asked that question a lot in the last 3 years. What has actually got you into hot rods and cars in general? The simple answer is you grew up in a house where people are doing it. My uncle and my grandfather were doing hot rods, right?
Yeah. But it's not just hereditary.
No, but there was always something like our second class, Rhett Thompson.
Okay.
He has a I can't remember what year, 67-ish Ford F100 4x4. Uh-huh. It's baby blue, the stock Ford baby blue.
Okay.
And he's got the white spoke wagon wheels on it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I say that smile comes on your face, right? So I can remember being 7, 8 years old, 9, 10, whatever, somewhere in there. And the neighbor guy, he had that truck. It wasn't 4x4, it was 2-wheel drive. And same thing, baby blue, the white wagon wheels. I mean, it was something about that truck. I was like,
oh, for sure,
this is just the coolest truck ever. And he'd be out there vroom vroom, and he'd put his foot on the exhaust to make sure that the compression was right. And I'm not knowing what he's doing at that time, but I'm thinking I want to be doing what that guy is doing. And later that truck left and he got something else that was much cooler. But at the same time, my uncle, he's that guy that can only have a car for 2 to 3 months. If he has a vehicle for 6 months, it's insane.
Same.
So he's going through car after car, and what he goes through is like my first earliest memory of that man's vehicles is I was born in 72. So in 75 and 77, they got the Dodge and Chevy vans that are the shag wagons, right?
Okay.
With the big paint jobs and all that.
If it doesn't have a girl killing a dragon with a sword in her hand, then I don't want it.
But he just had stripes and stuff. He didn't have murals, but he still had the bubble windows and the carpet and stuff. Oh my goodness. And he went through a couple of those. But then one day the van leaves, and what's there? A 66 Lincoln Continental.
Okay.
With the rear window that rolls down, the suicide rear doors, everything. The only thing it didn't have was the retractable roof, man. Wow. That thing was just awesome. It was white on white on white on white.
It's like the only 4-door that's amazing.
And the 4 of us kids would sit in the back seat of that and not touch each other.
Yeah, you'd rather have the 4-door version of that Lincoln, that Continental, than anything.
So, cars like that were just intriguing because as a kid, there's so many switches and stuff, and you're rolling down windows, you're rolling down a little window, a big window. You're doing stuff that
space age stuff, but it's like,
but it's 1970 something. So that right there is intriguing. So like, every time I see a vehicle after that, does it have that? Does it have this? Does it have that? So for whatever reason, I was always comparing vehicles, and they just always intrigued me. And then, of course, if it's loud, I got to know why it's loud. Well, it's because we got this motor, we got this blah, blah, blah,
Okay. How old are you at the time? I mean, like you're 6 or 7. You're like,
yeah, this is when he's doing all that stuff. And at one point, the Lincoln leaves, and he comes home at one point with a CJ7 Jeep, right? And it's got to be like an 80 or 82, something like that. But it's nothing close to stock because it has a tilt front clip nose on it. And it's fiberglass, and everything underneath there is chrome. Chrome exhaust, chrome headers, chrome valve covers, chrome intake. The only thing that isn't chrome is the block. But the steering is chrome, the shocks are chrome, the leaf springs are chrome. Everything underneath there was chrome. And it's his daily driver.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. If you can do that, you can actually do that. I mean, he made that kind of a reality because everything he drove was just crazy wackadoo.
Man, and that astonishing or astonishment at the big contrast between everything else on your street, versus seeing this gleaming chrome, nothing brighter, obviously, then I think that effect can still happen because it doesn't take as much, I think, today to astonish somebody with a car.
No.
Because, I mean, it's spoilers, it's wings and stuff like that, because there's the whole parking lot is filled with gray cars. Yeah. I mean,
they have lights in the wheel wells, though. They have lights in the bottom. They have groovy accessories.
Software, whatever. Who cares? Software versus hardware. But, I mean, I tell you what, I got a huge reaction that was weird because I put some racing stripes on a Bronco I had, like a orange and yellow down a tan Bronco. Yeah. And it was wild how, like I felt self-conscious. I'm like, well, these are stickers, Right. This is not the Munsters,
People go Google for that stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like the
Swift gets real
power
special.
stripe fenders. Like, yeah, I'm a Toyota freak, so I notice like if there's a 4Runner and he's got the orange, yellow, and red stripes going, oh, that is so cool. Isn't it? I need to go get some orange, yellow, and red.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, all 190 horsepower pushing those 38-inch wheels or tires. I mean,
it does like nothing to get you home, but man, it looks groovy.
Packaging helps, man, and it's not a small thing, dude.
Then,
stickers make you faster.
All my friends were always car guys.
Yeah. So
I one of my aunts or one of my uncles gave me an enduro motorcycle and took it over to my buddy's house who had a big field that we could ride it in. Okay. And if you ride it, you break it, so we got to fix it. Yeah. So I figured out how to wrench on stuff that way.
Sure.
Us breaking motorcycles and then go-karts and then whatever else that was about that we could get going and go fast enough to hurt ourselves on, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I took auto body in high school.
Okay.
Because it was a 3-hour block mostly.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It took up 3 regular classes in one class.
Rad.
So, awesome. How do you not take that when you already have an epiphany for cars in the first place? So.
Dude, the only problem I had with my shop teacher was that he was kind of creepy and that he probably lived in the vehicle that we had to fix inside the shop. It was like, there's a lot of clothes in here, Mr. Whatever. I forgot his name, but it was very strange. But he was also really fun too, because he...
That's a big butt, dude. You moved out of your chair and everything for that butt.
I don't know. Well, I didn't want him I knew right away I didn't want this guy as a role model, but I knew that I
could learn something from him.
I could learn some stuff from him, and I did, but because we learned how to weld in high school, which never happens anymore.
No, there's no vocational stuff like that at all.
Zero. I mean, and
I don't think there's even home ec.
Yeah, and I mean, I probably won't even go to high school anymore because of it. Yeah,
there's no sense. No sense. My auto body teacher was John C. Moore, and I will never forget that man. He was awesome. After high school, I saw this video of him and his wife in this truck driving promotional thing where it was promoting safety.
Okay.
He's doing the video. He gets out of the truck. Hello, John Moore here to talk to you about the safety in the road. And you don't want these 18 wheels crashing into you, son. You're just like, that is my auto body. No flipping way, man. He was the coolest guy. Everything with an S. Son of a bitch, son. It got to be so serious right now. I just tell you, so. And that was back when you could smoke in school.
Yeah. As a teacher.
Yeah. So in auto body, he's... but he wouldn't do it when we had Bondo out. He was safe.
Okay.
He wouldn't do it when we were painting, but in his office, sweet Jesus, bro.
Yeah, and he probably didn't do it around the Bondo because he learned his lesson one time with it.
No, we learned our own lesson with oxyacetylene. We took oxyacetylene, put it in a 2-liter bottle, and lit it, and blew up a lot of shit. And we got in trouble. Mr. Moore was so mad at us, but he at the same time still smiling. Yeah, because he knew that all of us were standing there going, "What? Yeah. What?" Dude. Everybody's like, "Oh."
Dude, I was a dry ice bomb guy. Less expensive. But so that was just little 16-ounce bottles. I mean, well, a 2-liter, man, I can't imagine, because I lost my hearing for a good minute or so after it went off after testing it in the garage.
It always starts off small, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then you just put a 2-liter bottle, that'll.
So somebody holds the 2-liter, somebody lights. You don't light it, but you just put a little gas in. You hold it. Somebody lights it, and then you go, and then the blue flame comes from the bottom of the bottle to the top of the bottle, ooh, and it makes a cool little sound. Oh, that's cool. Let's put a little bit more in, and it goes ooh, really fast, right? Let's do a little bit more. Ooh, I felt that one move my hand. Let's put a whole bunch. Set it down. Don't hold it. Don't hold it. Come on. So good. The windows rattle, the dust falls off the lights. Oh, sweet Jesus.
Speaking of sweet Jesus, because I was teaching, but I was teaching youth group at the time for the church. I was a youth pastor for a while.
Oh, no.
And I got to...
With dry ice?
Yeah. I mean, this was very Fear Factory era, and I was, I loved it so much because I was like going, I had it down pretty good for timing dry ice bombs, not bombs, explosions, whatever. You hear that, FBI?
We had a small explosion,
but we had
smaller than 9 cubic feet.
I wanted to have the kids leave every week with a story to tell.
Absolutely.
And I know that a lot of this podcast says, darn kids these days don't know anything about nothing. But like, I wanted them to leave with a story to tell, and they were already like, I guess at this time, this was probably 2008, and I think they're still coming out of still heavily in the grunge, starting to get into goth hard,
Yeah, but not as so home-based as they are now.
Correct.
So
yeah.
They have some exposure to other kids and friends.
And they're not bringing their phones to this thing, because they're still
most of them,
too
if they do have a phone, it's a flip phone, and all they can do is text.
Right. And so I had a thing where I did dry ice bowling with the kids, and I set up bowling pins at one end of the gym, and we had those gymnasium pads where you could where you would catch somebody if they were doing gymnastics or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So we built a little fence basically with the pads, like we were in the trenches, and I would go up to the front there. I had a block of dry ice that I got from the local grocery store, chipped it out, had these little 16-ounce bottles of water, and then we got down the science, because I had done this and set off about 10 of them with a stopwatch basically in my garage of like how much to fill the water and how much to put in dry ice, and then you cap it off
and then toss it.
Yeah, and I got it down, so it was almost 30 seconds every time before it went pow. Right. And then so I'm like going, okay, we'll set it right next down to the bowling pins, and then we run and then get behind the pads and then duck. and so we would do that. We'd cap it off, put it next to the bowling pin, run, and then dive, because I thought it was safer than capping it off and then rolling it down towards the pins.
Yeah.
and safer. I don't know, whatever. A big eye roll moment, and then so we would, and the kids were, before anything went off, the kids are like going, because it took some time to set up, and I'm like going, you guys are going to lose your hands if you don't listen to me. You screw around, we're done.
Right.
We call, it's over. Okay.
Yeah. This is your liability statement.
Yeah, like I'm some authority while I'm teaching them how to do pipe bombs, right? Basically, like going, let's do this in a safe, responsible way. Not today, but tomorrow, maybe. But and then
anyway, if you guys screw this up, we're done.
And none of you are narcs, are you? Yeah. And also, Jesus loves you. And I don't know how it went into the lesson later on, but it did.
But the point is that you're leaving each week with the bang.
Yeah, and they're talking and like they're not paying attention. I'm like going, I got serious with them, and like they're like going, gee whiz, man, this is the first time Sugar's really yelled at us, gotten stern. And I go, well, I want to do this and I want to have fun, but I don't want to lose any of you. And then we set off the first one after a long explanation of 15 minutes of explanation, which is way too long for any junior high kid.
Yeah. Because you lost them at 3 minutes.
Yeah. And then
not 30 seconds.
Yeah. You double their age, and that's the most amount of time that you have with any kid.
So 28 seconds. Got it.
And the first one goes boom, and then you hear a wee, like kind of thing, because it's your ears are gone and it's in the gym,
so it's echoing,
and like yes, your ears just going wee, and then all of them are like going oh, and then there's the only time in my whole entire youth pastor career that I had their full attention, and they all said, "Me next, I'm doing it now." And we went over and over and over again, blowing up that thing until...
What does it do to the actual bowling pins? Or are they actual bowling pins?
It was like a Fisher-Price set that was just plastic, and it would embed shards into the pins. They were knocked all over the place. Yeah. I mean, and the only evidence was a puddle afterwards. It was the best. It was so much fun. And then the next week, I had 10 more kids.
Right.
Showed up and like, what are we going to do today? I go, oh, suckers, we're learning about Job. But then we would do whatever else. But it was just like, yeah.
What about parent feedback? Did you ever get any of that?
Yeah. For sure. But I would always invite the parents to it.
So, yeah.
And then, okay, here's the thing. Because I thought, okay, well, I'm going to lose my whatever. I wasn't getting paid for this. I'm gonna lose my position. Yeah, I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna go out to and I'm hanging out. I'll go over to went over to another neighbor's house that actually the other youth leader guy, Tim's house, and I hear over the fence go, no, you cap it off first, and then you gotta set it down. And then I look over the fence and go, John, and it's John Lucas and his dad, Sam Lucas, who's a responsible human who's never been arrested and never will be, and he has a government job and has passed any kind of background checks, and him and his son are making pipe bombs in his backyard. And I'm so happy. I'm like going, I'm not getting in trouble. I'm getting more into the cult.
Being accepted.
It was so fun. I think I was.
Well, if you present it as science, then it's accepted. But if you present it as terrorism,
I know. There you go. Like
the glass half full, glass half empty, bro.
Yeah, maybe. But it was like, oh man, it was just so fun. It was just like, and I did other things that were probably worse. Honestly, another game. But yeah, whatever. Another story for another time.
Another story.
But. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But that was the thing, too. It's like, not the good old days or whatever. But maybe that's part of the hot rodding thing. I don't know if that's part of you, but it's like, maybe there's mayhem. But, like, that's what an outsider would see as mayhem. But I don't know. I just keep thinking of it as freedom,
Yes, exactly. Well, and then getting back to what gets you into the card thing, what got me into it is what's gotten me out of it is how it's changed and what it takes to actually build cars anymore and stuff. It's
man, what do you mean by that?
So it used to be you found yourself, a 5-6-year-old car.
Yeah.
Not too old, right? And you could do some mods to it and have, your own unique hot rod kind of a car, and you didn't have to do a lot. You didn't have to spend a lot. You didn't have to. I mean, that's all perspective, right? Spending a lot is all perspective, but you could make that car yours with little to no effort, I guess.
Okay.
But and doing that anymore, it seems like you got to have 5 to 6 figures to have something that's cool, unique, that stands out. Because, like my 2003 Toyota pickup, it's groovy. It can do a lot of things, but it doesn't stand out because everybody has that.
Really?
Everybody's done that.
I don't know, man.
It's there. It's all over.
You customized that thing, though. That thing's amazing. You won it. Yeah, your 2003 Tacoma.
The one that I won, yeah.
You won. How did you win it?
On Instagram. You do win shit on Instagram.
Wow. Before OnlyFans, huh? You got that's how they paid you, huh?
Yeah. Well, no, you buy a T-shirt, you do the rule thing, and you enter correctly, and if they draw your name, you win the vehicle.
I like that idea too. I mean, because it was it you? Because it was built a little bit too. What was the company that you won it from?
Well, the company was Southern Expeditions. They were just an Instagram company that would take people or go places and just showcased everything they did because they were just adventurous people who loved to be outdoors.
Nice.
And as they were outdoors all the time, they got a good following. And once they got to 10,000 followers, they decided to give back to the followers by having a giveaway.
Sweet.
One of the 3 owners of the company gave up his personal truck, the 2003 Tacoma, to give away.
Okay.
And on that truck, it had, just a 2-inch lift, Old Man Emu, 2-inch lift. But it also had an ARE aluminum topper and a CVT rooftop tent.
Okay.
It had a Dometic fridge, a brand new Dometic fridge. It came with a Scottle cooking stove. It came with a remote fire pit that you could put up at any fire camp.
Okay.
You could put it up at KOA and stuff.
Nice.
It came with a soft topper that I'm running right now.
Yeah.
It came with
thanks, buddy.
all that stuff for entering correctly and buying T-shirts.
Heck yeah, man. That's an awesome thing because you've added mods to it over the years because I didn't know it came to you almost fully formed.
I've completely changed its configuration. Yeah, because I've changed it over to Toy Tech suspension and literally changed everything underneath there. And it no longer has that ARE aluminum top. I'm running the soft topper because I built the rack that goes underneath the soft topper, so I could put the rooftop tent on, or I can have the soft top on, or I can have whatever. But the fridge is still in there, and now I've added a battery in the bed and a solar panel to the roof. And
how's the farthest out you've gone? Camping or whatever for a weekend, or do you go a whole
5 days? I went 5 days without starting the truck.
Nice.
The battery was down to 10.8.
Okay.
But it still started.
Nice.
And the battery in the bed was still at 12 though. So
it's a stick too, right?
Yeah, it's a 5-speed, so I could roll start it if I need.
There you go. Perfect.
But yeah, I went 5 days once without starting it, which was pretty amazing.
Dang, bud. That's awesome. Then and you've added a solar panel. Yeah. And we've added an air deflector to it too.
Yeah, and that thing took a punch like you would not believe. I was talking about you when we were on that mountain. I was like, "Holy cow! Did you see that?" And my buddy Bubba, he's like, "I can't believe you did that, Greg." I was like, "I can't believe that didn't go through my freaking truck."
Oh no, really? Because because that was part of the school. Was part of the Kindig Academy. Metal shaping, and I'm like,
you did the aluminum. You did a really nice aluminum air deflector for it.
We just because it was like I didn't know it was one of the joys of that class was that we got to just play.
Yeah,
and so
test your limits.
Yeah, exactly. So that one was fun because it's only like it's an air deflector to deflect or to put on the roof to push air over your solar panel.
Solar panel that bulges from the roof. Yeah.
And your solar panel is 90 degrees square. It's a rectangle on top with a flat front. and you have a curved windshield, and you got to make 8 inches of aluminum
go from one to the other. The solar,
and we didn't want it, because you were saying that too, that you didn't want to just have it a flat panel there,
right?
That would just go straight and look stupid or look goofy or whatever, because you would have to push the whole panel and everything way back. But this one, you wanted it to meet the glass and the contour of the glass, and then go to the flat square solar panel, which it sits probably like 3 inches above the roof.
Yeah,
I guess.
But it was a total distance of 8 inches
with a 90
I think
degree.
It was like 6 inches at the center, and you had to have a reverse curve in it.
Yeah,
and you had to have a 90-degree break, it was like a 65-degree break on that one edge.
Yeah, and had to be flat.
You did flipping awesome on that.
That was so much fun, dude. Because that one hurt to do. It was like, this is not going to happen.
What was it, 48 wide?
Yeah.
It was pretty wide. It wasn't 4 foot, though.
30, probably only 4
38.
feet. Probably only 4 feet, yeah. Okay.
Somewhere in there. It was still pretty wide to be English wheeling, to get a reverse curve into.
Yeah, and it worked.
And it was great. And it came out really nice. I didn't have to finish it or nothing. I just installed it.
Yeah. It was cool.
Literally what the metal was just installed. I think we brushed it just to give it a texture finish, but we didn't have to.
Yeah, because little scratches or whatever had been on there. But yeah, that was such a huge confidence builder for me, man. After that, I was like, it was exhausting, but it was so fun that it actually worked, and you got to see some application right away. That's that's probably one of the things about.
So what happened was I drove into a tree, and it was a dead tree. So it was like a iron rod.
Okay.
And it hit right in the center of that freaking air deflector, right? And it goes, it like bowed up a little bit, and then pekong over the solar panel. I was like, holy cow. And I thought it was going to come in through the windshield instead of going up and over. Okay. I was like, like I said, my friend Bubba was like, holy cow, Greg, I thought you were going to get impaled by that.
Yeah.
So the glue, the shape, and then the mounting of it. Yeah. The way we mounted it, the way that curve of it, that it took that, and it barely has a dent in it.
Nice.
It's really awesome. I'm so proud of that.
I am too. That's great. I love
Even if that solar panel doesn't function, it's staying on there forever.
That's hilarious. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know, right? It's like it's
staying on forever.
Yeah,
because that's a work of art. If you ask me.
Trophy. I think so too. I loved it. But I think that was one of those things too, where I had, unlike some people we know in the class, there was kind of and everybody listening probably gets these people too, in their own shops or their own friends who have ultra confidence and zero competence, and and I don't know. I tried to go in there because I tell you what, dude, like before going in there, I'm a panic attack guy, man. I tell you what, and just because I can overthink anything, and then to the point of where the safest thing is to never do anything. So that kind of stuff was just like, it was such a huge confidence builder. Not that I wanted to say, I can.
Was?
Yeah, well, that also, but the whole class was.
Oh, I see.
Because it was one of those things where you could go to a school, not a shop where you had to be earning right away, and because it's impossible to get. As I'm in shops now and managing shops, and I get a new hire on, I can't afford to have a green guy in there and pay him to learn on the job. And then have him quit.
Not anymore. You used to be able to, but not anymore.
Right. Apprenticeships, no, good luck, man.
A helper.
Yeah. Is impossible to find, dude. Maybe big business car dealerships might have apprenticeship programs.
Caliber Collision does.
Okay.
Where you learn how they pay you to learn.
But then
you have so much comeback. You have so
and
much.
That's cutting some panels, but mostly it's It's just replacing parts and then painting them. It's not.
And then, but after a while, you have to learn. You have to step up, or you get dismissed.
Okay.
So Caliber has that, but not in all states.
Does any Caliber collision own an English wheel?
No.
Power hammer?
No.
Pullmax?
Nothing like that. They sold that Pullmax for $4,000, dude.
Yeah.
Sold it for $4,000.
To who?
Some guy who.
I'll give him $5.
As soon as that ad went up, it was sold.
Yeah. Yeah.
For.
With an octopus painted on a hand painted octopus on the side. Squid dick. Yeah. It's yeah. But anyway, it's such a rare thing. But I think that's going back to the freedom part of it.
Right. Sorry.
Of getting a hot rod. I always thought of the freedom of it, because not only does it as a car are you able to leave your house and go anywhere the hell you wanted at any time of day. That cliche. But also that all your thoughts in your head can now be put onto this car, and and it can be any color, and it can be
any kind of dream you have,
any dream, and you're only limited by yourself to get it done, and
yourself and your drive,
and maybe generally you have some borders of having it fit on the road, but
But I've seen guys go to extremes to have that car be done in their garage. Like, I worked at Reflections, Auto Reflections, Auto Body.
Okay.
And Donnie, he was a retired paint prepper, but he still went in and worked under the table for cash, because if he got paid a paycheck, it would fuck with his Social Security, blah, 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 right? But his Social Security wasn't enough because his wife was sick, so he had to do, that little bit extra to pay for things. So that guy was still just a great. But what he did was he brought in a fender.
Yeah. And
he did that fender while he was doing his work.
Okay.
And that fender would leave looking like a brand new fender.
Okay.
The door would come in. It would leave. Next thing you know, one weekend he shows up with just the tub of the car. And paints it, and it's gone, right? Okay. Next thing you know, he's driving that son of a gun. Yeah. That's the drive and determination. If you want that, you're going to get it done. I've seen guys take Rust-Oleum and paint their car. Right. Like cases of Rust-Oleum. Right? And they go to town on their car, and then they sand it for days and days and days, and then do it again, and that car comes out perfect.
Yeah, nothing against Rust-Oleum, man. I love it.
But I've seen guys do whatever it takes to get that custom, to get that color, to get that. Like, I seen a guy trade up wheels to get the wheels that he wanted. I'm going to trade you my stock wheels for those. Yeah, I love those stock wheels. Right.
Gosh, yeah. I mean,
you find the person that has what you want, and then you give it, and then, you just keep trading up or selling up or something,
Yeah, you'll get there.
So when you have that passion, that whether it be that Yugo, whether it be the GMC, whatever, I think if you have that passion, you're going to get that thing to get it to where you want it and stuff like that. Yeah. I've seen some unique individualized cars.
Yeah. Because I can't imagine a kid rolling up today in a custom, I don't know, even a shoebox or whatever, coming up to school today, and it would have to be mind-blowing for the other kids,
right?
Who are doing their hand-me-down at RAV4s and stuff, like that would be, that could be incredibly mind-blowing to see somebody do that. Like, I even now I have hot rod friends, and then I have everybody else,
right?
and my software friends versus my hardware friends, if you will.
Yes,
that's how I kind of defined them. But because they all have a computer and a desk, but they do a million things, or they command amazing things to people like us to build, and it's amazing what you can do with keystrokes, and I never. I mean, I envied them a few times, but but then I tried it once. I did like insurance adjusting for a body shop, and holy cow,
Yeah.
the boss there who put me in that position almost immediately goes, "This ain't the job for you." And I
Right.
go, "I'm so sorry." And he goes, "No, we can get you back in the shop." I go, "Thank you." But
Yeah.
but
That's the one part about the instructor job that I couldn't wrap my mind around that well was the corporate side of it and the laptop time, and you have to learn from this curriculum.
Right.
That's what I liked about our class was this is the real world. Step over to that piece of machinery and learn how to use it, because that's what you're going to have to do in the shop.
Yeah, and I think you could probably still get that what we got. And our thing was 6 weeks. It was kind of truncated or whatever stuff, and it could have been like we say, it could have been years on just one aspect of that class. Just paint and body. I think could have been huge. And then metal shaping would have been the another thing that could have been.
We could spend a month on each one of those subjects.
I don't know how long do you think it would take you, like from a novice, maybe like a good wrench, to turn into from no metal shaping to viable. What do you think?
Some guys can do that within a year.
Yeah.
Some guys takes several years. Depends on your. So the question that was asked how I got that job was, how do you teach common sense?
Yeah.
Do you know how to teach common sense?
No.
You can't teach common sense. It's common sense, right?
Yeah.
The way you teach common sense is muscle memory and almost brainwashing in a weird kind of a better way to say it, kind of a.
True.
So if you work at McDonald's and your first day there, you learn how to pull the fries out of the thing and dump them into the thing, and then you learn how to set the new fries, set the timer, walk off and flip your burgers. You learn how to do that your first day. After doing that for 10 days in a row, you're not thinking about it so much. You're just going through the actions of it, right?
Sure.
After doing that for 40 or 50 days, you're wondering what's on your phone. You're wondering why that customer's yelling outside. You're not even thinking about dropping those fries. You're just, every time that's common sense. That's how you teach it. So
yeah,
I have you stand at that English wheel for the next 4 hours doing the same thing. This thing you were doing the first hour is not what you're doing the fourth hour.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't.
You're getting past the learning stage. You're getting into muscle memory. You're getting into, I don't have to watch my thumb anymore. I know where my thumb is. You're getting into, I don't have to watch where my left hand is writing on the inside of this wheel because I know where it is. You're getting into the point where you're watching the metal, and now you're getting past the point of watching the metal. You're getting to the point where you're watching what you want to come to the metal, not what it is doing.
Yeah.
You're watching where it's going. So that's what common sense, that's how you teach common sense. You just keep doing the same thing over and over and over till you don't think about doing it. You just do it.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, that was that was such a big deal. I think, do you think that you could get that kind of so do you think you could get that kind of school elsewhere? I mean, I know there's that Ray Shalin out there in Massachusetts who does Pro Shaper. That's the only other guy I know that because Kindig guys have come out of his shop too.
Well, there's the guy that came and taught us, Kevin Mason.
Yeah.
And he's an excellent instructor.
Custom, what was he?
Kingdom Metalworks.
Kingdom Metalworks.
Yeah, I would love to go take more classes from him. I would take classes from him forever, even if I had the job of doing things.
I tried to get him to come up to Pinky's to teach a class there too, and we were working on that, but then whatever.
Right.
Some other project pops up,
Well, and the guy that used to work with Kindig, Pete, who Hallie, who's okay, I'm saying everything wrong, but I believe it's Hallie is Dave's assistant.
Okay.
And she's married to a gentleman named Pete. He is awesome also. Yeah. He is just one of the best metal guys I've seen in person, You see all the people on YouTube, blah, 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 but in person, he's impressive. So I would love to go in his shop for a week. There's so many guys around the country that are at that level that you could go learn from, you know, pay them $1,000, pay them $2,000 for the week, and just stand beside them while they're working, and then try and do what they're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, because that's like I was a tech at Audi, German car stuff, at the dealership stuff. And I learned a lot by buying sandwiches, because I never went
sure
to, I never went to tech school, I just, and
by buying tech sandwiches?
I would buy, I go, Steve, teach me how to do that. Here, I'll buy you lunch, and like, man, I tell you what, I probably spent $400 at Quiznos, but I learned how to weld. I know how to do control arms. I know how to do water timing belts.
So that takes us back to the lost art of a helper that works in a shop that learns how to do it and gets paid to learn how to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, how would you go about that? Like, if you were actually in the shop or whatever now, sweeping floors, man, that doesn't guarantee that they're not going to say, oh, you got some gumption. This floor is really clean, man.
Golly gosh. Let's see you work on a car.
Dave Kindig's not going to come up to you and say, you know what, you take a chance with the pens and stuff like that. I'm going to sit this one back while you do that.
Yeah.
By the way, just flat out, I love Dave Kindig. I think he's so fun. And he's like the Mickey Mouse of hot rods, okay? Because it's just like, I just thought it was so much fun. I loved his stories. And he's exactly like you see him on TV. He seems to be like that in person. So anyway, but and getting an opportunity, and I got to go work out there for a week too, and that was super fun. I loved it. But
getting into the shop like that, you have to find the guy that wants to pass it on.
Yeah, and
who's willing to be patient with you and pay you, but you also have to find the guy that's willing to learn how to do it and not have to make a lot of money at the same time.
Yeah, because you won't learn
the guy that's 20-something
for 10 years
going into a shop going, I'm working on custom hot rods. I need to make $90,000. You can't do that being a helper, being a learner.
Right.
You have to be able to suffer and sacrifice for a few years.
Right, but the problem is you've told your girlfriend how cool you are already,
And how you're going to trick her car out.
Well, or whatever. I mean, like, yeah, because it's so tough. I mean, like,
but you can't do that. There's nobody willing to take the small steps to get to the big places.
No, and I always befriended the worst curmudgeons in the shop because I knew that they knew the most. Like if you go into a hardware store, go into an Ace Hardware, it's like you better find the crustiest old guy there. Yeah. Because you're not going to get any help from
no, you don't find that
from the teenager, which is. God bless the teenager for working there, but it's like
the 28-year-old knows where everything is on the shelves, but he can't help you with what is on the shelves.
Yeah, and I just kind of go, there's that one A&A Trade and Post, down in Denver. You know the place?
No.
Okay, but they're technically an Ace, and I've showed up with, I need this pipe fitting to fit into this hole or whatever. And they go, and they said 5 things. I still don't know what they mean, but I left with the right parts in my hands, and I'm like going, how did that happen? And it was so great. Yeah, it was so great.
Because they've seen those weird wackadoo things before.
Yeah, and he didn't ask me how my day was. He didn't try to sign me up for some membership thing.
Right, we got rewards.
It was like
I go to the O'Reilly specifically for the old guys there.
Yeah,
they have the same O'Reilly shirt from the last 20 years and stuff, and they've worked. You see their footpaths on the floor behind the counter,
right?
Because they do the same thing to get the same part, and so every once in a while, they will actually pull out a book and set it on the counter and go, oh yeah, okay. Click, click, and find you a part.
Versus, just like walking up to the counter and
going, we don't have it.
Just turn the screen towards me or whatever. So now talking to my buddy Jeff, I said you have to get a part number. You have to walk in with a part number now.
Yeah.
So unless like as I have a guy, because that I go to now who's at Advance, who used to be at CarQuest, and it's like, okay, and I can go to him every time and say, hey, how's it going? I don't know his name. He doesn't know my name. I've known him for 20 years. Right. and I've just bought parts from him. And it's like,
that's my guy though.
Yeah. And he says, well, if you're getting a clutch, you're getting the throw up bearing, you're getting the rear main seal. I go, oh yeah. Yeah, of course. Sorry. Yeah. Add on to the next 3 parts.
I got Ben at Advance over there by the school.
Right.
He's building a Suburban and a Blazer and stuff like that. So when I asked for Camaro parts, he's like, "Is this that 68 with the buff?" Is that? Yeah. It's that one.
Yeah. So it's like you got to be friendly with these old guys, and I think that's it. If you're in a shop and you're trying to start out, you have to, find what their favorite candy bar is. dude. Find out what they
if they're drinking Diet Coke.
Yeah, if they only like Coronas or Diet Cokes or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, then that's what you're bringing in the next day because you're struggling with the car you're working on or whatever. I brought in I would bring in old hot rods into the Audi shop.
You were always trying to bribe us, but we were your instructors. We were there to teach you anyway. And you're like, can I bring you this and you'll do this? We'll do it already. Sure, come on. You don't have to pay us. You already paid for the class, remember?
Yeah, but I graduated. And yeah, but yeah, but I think that's it though, because it's taking that extra step. And I think also if you ask the old guys, that was a big thing too that I found out. If I didn't do the effort first of and just wanted their knowledge, so I could get the shortcuts, they're not helping you. You lose their respect. And then versus I going in there and if I said, okay, I've tried these 3 things, they failed.
That's the biggest thing.
Now I'm stuck. Then that 100%, then I would get help from those guys.
But you can't get stuck on the same thing 3 times either.
Nope.
If you ask for help on it once, you can't go back and ask for help on it again unless you've tried 3 more things on that. There's a fine line because honestly, I went from being a helper to being on the line, and from being a helper, I got thrown on the line because my body man got fired. And when he left the shop, he's like, I'm not taking a helper to the next shop. And I'm like, I'm out of a job too then. So then the shop said, would you like to be on the line as a body man instead of a helper? And I said, yes. And at that point, I had to be a big boy and grow up and figure out how to do collision and stuff. And I wasn't at that level when that body man left. So I was basically a helper being a body man and asking for help. And luckily,
you pad up your resume too much, and then you have to actually do what you told them that you could do.
Well, I didn't pad anything. Luckily, I was at the shop long enough that I was friends with the other body men. Mm-hmm. So they were like, okay, he can be a body man. Yeah. We will kind of help him. Yes. So when I got stuck on stuff or when I needed help taking tailgates or hoods and stuff off, they would help and be, cool about it. But it worked out for them because they got all the work, right? Right. Yeah, I'm not flagging what the other body man was flagging. So they're like, yeah, he could be a body man. We'll take all the extra work. Sure. So, but then once I got to the point where I'm flagging as much as them, they're like, okay, he needs to go.
Exactly.
Because when I was doing it, we were paid commission. You didn't get flat rate at all. Yeah. And I was getting 45% commission. So, you tried your ass off to get as much hours as you could.
Yeah, dangling the carrot. Sure. I mean, that works.
You turning in 60 and 80 hours for your flag is not good. You need to turn in 180 to 200 hours. Wow. So figured that out quickly and, you get stuck on one thing. Hey, what is it I'm not seeing here? I can't get this hood defender to line up and stuff. And they'd be like, well, all right, but you don't ask again. You don't get that help again. You better remember what you learned the first time. Yeah. Along with tools. Hey, can I borrow your socket? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can I borrow your socket? Yeah. Can I borrow your socket?
No.
That's your 3rd time. Next time you go buy one. You know what day the tool truck comes.
Amen. Yeah, because 3 borrows, that's if they're on that schedule of coming back. You better be, start out Harbor Freight. Do it. And then
whatever you need.
Once you've rounded off every bolt with their Harbor Freight sockets, then you step up to
get some Pittsburghs.
Go to the Icon version of Harbor Freight now or whatever.
Come on,
which ain't so bad actually. But anyway, but
there's the drive for that anymore. Either people have it or they don't, and the people that do have it are far and few between from what it used to be. It seems like.
And do you think that because I've found this with some shops, where is it worth it at the end?
The helper?
Well, going through that, yeah.
Okay, so that takes us back to like a scenario we can discuss with Dave again, where he buys the dyno machine. Uh-huh. He trains 2 guys to use the dyno machine, and they're certified on it, and to that level of we can tune anything. We can make everything on there safe. We can make everything run good. We can make everything run better after it's on there.
Right.
And then they go
I remember that
their
episode.
own dyno shops. Yeah. Which is such a drawback to training people because you lose them. So how do you retain those people?
Well, not only is it worth it for like a guy like Dave, or a shop owner, but also for an apprentice coming in, like to go through all these, earning your stripes, it's tough.
I think a lot of times it is because 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 11, you could walk out of that shop a better person than you walked in and take that somewhere else and say, this is my stepping stone to you, and this is what I can bring to you now. And then that guy's like, yeah, that's great. And if he doesn't see the end of that game, he thinks he's got the score.
Yeah.
And then that guy comes in, gets better and better and better, asks for more money. He's like, well, you why do you need more money? Then he goes to the next level, quote unquote, if you will.
And that's why I call this mechanical sympathy, because you're not only just being sympathetic to the machine itself and taking care of it. It's a quote from a Formula One driver, Jackie Stewart, that I stole it from. Where you have mechanical sympathy, like because he was complaining about Ayrton Senna of all people. He goes, the guy's racing around, overheating the car in the first lap, and then he ruins the car, and the car can't make it through the end of the race. You have to watch out for it. Of course, you watch Ayrton drive, and there's not just he's the exception because because God Himself was imbued, and the Holy Spirit was pushing the pedals with him. But like if you're not Ayrton Senna and you're not taking care of your vehicle, then it's going to die, and you have no, as Jackie Stewart would say, no mechanical sympathy. And a lot of this too, philosophically too, is and the idea of this podcast, YouTube, whatever it turns to be, is to understand those things that mechanics are going through, that craftsmanship is going through,
right?
That the spiritual aspect of it, the emotional aspect of it,
the personal aspect,
the joy, the stories, the everything, and also the pride and confidence that can come out of it, of just there's practical things of, I got to get my air conditioning working in my truck so I can get so I don't faint on the way to work, but also of the joy of how much more you love that thing because you did it yourself.
There's a few that I keep for some sentimental reasons, scrap metal.
Yeah.
But there's a 66 Willys on the side of my house right now that was my grandpa Lee's, and I don't have a title for it.
Okay.
But I plan on doing something with it. But
you can bond for one, right? Yeah.
There's my 10-year project over there.
It's so fun. It's so cool.
Yeah, and it's one of the tuxedo. It's a fancy one. So it's worth money and stuff, but it's worth more to me than anything. And the 72 Blazer sitting there for 7 years, as you're being gracious and said 5 years at one point. I've had it for a long time, and the spirit of it, some call it nostalgia of it, the sentimentality of it.
Well, I mean, what got you into keeping it there? I mean, it's not like, because I know maybe it's
the dream of having that custom thing, the dream of putting it behind the truck and going hunting with it, and just having a groovy little hunting go-kart, if you will, because that's just a little 4-wheel drive go-kart nowadays. You can't do much with them.
Well, you're putting a spirit into it too. I mean, it's you're imbuing it, not that it has it on its own. Like I worked at a shop with a Ferrari F40.
Right.
I have to say this again, but the Ferrari F40 that we worked at, because this was the savant guy named Dave Imes, who he built an F40. It was an insurance job that had been wrecked because a minivan cut off this guy in his Ferrari F40 on 6th Avenue, and it spun out and hit the guardrail and smacked the front, spun it around, and he smacked to the rear.
Jeez.
And
so you had to disassemble the whole thing, or what?
It was a $280,000 insurance check 10 years ago. The insurance company arguing with us on that because this is a used car. and
he's what it is.
He's driving it at, I don't know, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I think he was driving at 5 a.m., where the roads are empty, and he's enjoying it, listening to this twin turbo V8 cackle and howl down the highway, and somebody just flies in this little purple Dodge Caravan, who's barely an American, and they
son of a gun,
or if at all, and they're just so their insurance isn't gonna cover it, with their $20,000 liability, and the if they were even paid up, who knows? But it was luckily his insurance, so he covered it. And
when you own something like that, you have your own.
But Dave had to go out to London to this little, it was a wet floor, cobblestone built building in the middle of the city.
I wonder if it's next to where Kevin Mason learned how to do his cobras.
Oh, maybe, but it was like the single light bulb kind of swinging in the top of this stone-walled building that he went in and found a crate with new old stock Ferrari F40 parts. I have a photo of it with the front and rear shells in this box and Dave babysat it out to London, or went out to London to get it and flew back with it.
All those parts are gone now.
They're on that car. They're on that F40.
No. Whatever was left in there 10 years ago is now gone.
Probably, because those F40s, at the time we were building the car in 2008, maybe it was maybe a little, no, it was probably a little later, probably 2012. But it was probably worth $500,000 then, and now they're 1.2. I don't know, $1 million.
Not 4 million, depends on which one.
Yeah. So but that car, Dave, it was so fun because we were working on it, and Dave's going like, if it looks ugly, if it doesn't look right, because I was like, this is
the body lines weren't matching and stuff. Yeah,
left to right, it doesn't match. There was a crease in the new part too, the new old stock from 1990 that was on the driver's side but not on the passenger side. You took a tape measure out. It was a wrong thing to do because it ruined it and ruined the idea.
You like marble down the body seat and stuff.
Yeah, and I mean it's carbon Kevlar and fiberglass composite basically material, and so kind of the new cutting edge of that,
which they were just learning how to do.
I guess so. Yeah, and it's when it's an Italian crafts thing, who knows?
Handcrafted. There's no mold. I mean, the molds are handcrafted, everything like that. So.
Yeah, but each one was very different than the next one. Anyway.
Well, yeah.
It's so funny. So we actually did fiberglass and put in, did a little carbon fiber work with a little fiberglass, kind of try to repeat the process, and then filled it in the gaps and made it work. So it was, but if you look past that, then you get into the structure of it because the clamshells are off, and I was building a rack for it to sit on, and the rack I built was nicer than the Ferrari that it was going to sit on. At least I felt like it was, but because this lattice work of tube frame they built it with, the welds weren't the same. They didn't match side to side. Obviously, two different people had welded this thing together.
Luigi did the left and Mario did the right.
Exactly, and there were turtle shells being thrown at it at the time, so they were distracted. And there's brush strokes on the frame rails.
They painted it with a paintbrush?
Paintbrush, literal paintbrush, dipped in a bucket and then painted onto this thing. So I'm sure there would be, probably some paintbrush fibers in the paint somewhere. And
that's what everybody's going Google for Gaga. And that's the spirit of it.
Because it's the best Ferrari ever made, in my book. I think it's incredible. The sounds are incredible. The engine's amazing. It's a race car. It wasn't really supposed to be a road car. It's the last car that Enzo himself oversaw before he passed. So it still has some of the original Ferrari in it. And then the next car came out, but
that's the sentimental, that's the nostalgic, that's the spirit of it. That's where you see that brushstroke. And I always say, if that fucking chassis could talk, if that car could talk and it'd tell us what guy laid out that brushstroke and why it's there like that. We would have, you know.
No, I know why it's there, because he didn't give a damn. but that's the bigger part of it. Is what I'm saying is that it has a soul that's bigger than it. You know.
Yeah.
You know, Pavarotti's an ugly guy, and he makes gorgeous music. So, you know, it's not. It's we're anthropomorphizing. We're imbuing these things with spirit.
What's that word?
Anthropomorphizing. It's a, you know, it's like you're giving human qualities to something that is not human.
I see.
That you're animating it. But
I only knew that as animating it. So
okay, well, you're animating
anthropomorphizing.
That's it. Anthropomorphizing.
Well, I have that in everything, because if Baby Doll, the taco that I won, the 2003 Tacoma.
Its name is Baby Doll?
His name is Baby Doll. I didn't name it.
Okay.
But Matt, the guy I won it from, named it. And we became friends because of that truck.
Yeah.
So the spirit of Matt and I are in that truck.
Okay.
The guy that Matt bought it from, technically I'm the third owner. The first guy Matt's the second owner, the guy that Matt got it from, you know, he was just the square who bought it new and used it and drove it on the road, barely put it in four-wheel drive, right? You know, he got his use out of it. And then Matt drove it because he was in college. He didn't want power windows. He didn't want things that could fail. He needed something that he could use in college and then still go have fun in.
Yeah.
So that spirit is in that truck, and it's called Baby Doll for his story reasons and stuff like that. Some Australian overlanding adventures thing.
Right.
So he's building his small version of doll of something, right? Okay. So it's Baby Doll, right? And that's what its name will always be, is Baby Doll. The blazer that I said that I was going to be buried in, that, you know, the spirit of my soul, I changed everything on that truck except for the frame and the gas tank.
Right.
I changed the body. I changed the motor 9 times. I changed the transmission 7 times.
9?
Yeah. I went through 3 sets of axles underneath that truck.
Oh my God.
4 sets of leaf springs. I mean, I went through everything on that truck, and I don't know how much blood and sweat and skin and everything I did for that truck, and said I was going to be buried in, and now it's sold. I no longer have that truck, but it has that spirit forever in my mind.
Yeah, and you're gonna, it's gonna be a shock calling their next of kin to tell them, we need your truck back because Greg has to be buried in it. Like, but
sorry.
I just had a new car with a new radiator put in it. Sorry, man. We're digging a hole to put in.
But the Jackie Stewart spirit of it is you have to drive within those parameters of the spirit of the vehicle. You can race and win the race and then have a dead car at the end of the race. You got to drive within the parameter of the car, within the spirit of the car. Yeah. And sometimes you can drive 7 races and have that car win when nobody else can drive that car and have it win. Uncle Bob can go out there and start the Buick that no one else can start. You know, you go to Uncle Tim to get your lawnmower fixed every time because he knows what's wrong every time. And you try and do what Uncle Tim does, but it doesn't start for you. So, the spirit of it, people figure out the spirits of things. Every inanimate object has that, if you ask me.
I love having, like, the quirks of the old cars, too. Like, and that used to be a lot of thing I could, because that's kind of one of the fun things to talk to old guys in there at the car shows and stuff. When they've got the car that they drove up there is on their shirt, printed on their shirt 5 times.
And the family knows them by their car.
Yeah, and I mean that it's their personality, and it's but if you can ask them some quirks and stuff. What's different from about your Buick that you won't find on another Invicta, then.
Well, in 1972, I had this put on. And then in 1975, I saved enough to get this done. And then in 1980, we finally splurged and went out and did all this. And that's what lasted this long. Can you believe it? Now, and since then, we got that done. 1985, we did this. So, some of those cars in that family is a picture book of what they did in their life and how their life went up and down. We couldn't do nothing for these 17 years.
And every single piece of that adds to the soul of that car. And I totally enjoy it.
And that's your spirit of the car.
Yeah. And that's why now some of my project is, is finding. I'm going to find some old trucks. I just love trucks. Everybody loves truck. There and just finding old trucks and fixing them up, and then turning them for profit, hopefully. But mostly rescuing them.
Yes, keeping them on the road.
Because a lot of this time when I'm buying a truck and then fixing it to resell, I go way too much. Where I go, it's not the profit. I know that they don't care that it has new tires on it. They're going to buy it anyway. I'm losing money here, but it's good for the car that it has new tires.
Yeah, and it has good brakes.
I'm doing it for the car, not for you, the next owner, which is kind of funny. So yeah,
if I do this one thing, it'll keep this car on the road for the next 5 years.
Yeah,
because nobody will have to fix it. Because if this breaks, the next person will probably just let this thing sit and not fix it.
And that separates us from the normals.
Yes.
In this part where, will you ever buy a Tesla, Greg?
Probably.
Probably?
Yeah.
Would you really?
Okay, so Tesla's at Lincoln Tech now, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
Right. So Eugene, the Tesla instructor, he had a Plaid come in.
This might be a bad example, me saying Tesla.
He had a Plaid come in, which at that time was the fastest Tesla.
Oh yeah.
0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what that experience for me was, going that fast, that quickly, it made it feel like my spine was trying to leave my body.
Yeah.
Like my skull, my spine, everything was trying to get out the back of the only thing that kept it in there was the fact that I was on the seat.
Yeah.
Everything that was in my pockets went to the back seat. It was great. So within whatever that back parking lot, we got up to 85 miles an hour and stopped within 4 seconds.
Yeah.
It's just absurd. So
yeah. So there's something to be said for that.
Yes, I would buy a Tesla.
Do you think that that's a valid argument when somebody says, "Oh, these don't have soul"? These Teslas, the electric cars, don't have soul.
They have the AI soul. It's okay. The mechanical thing. It learns how your butt sits in the seat. It learns how you swing the pedal because there's 3 pedals instead of 2.
Yeah.
It learns how your foot works. It learns how you shift, and it adapts to that. It wears into that.
Okay.
Electrically, what happens? What are you gonna do in that? It's gonna AI. It's all gonna be your electronic pulses that come from your brain. It's going to be electronic pulses that come from the electronic spirit that we have.
Okay.
Not the mechanical spirit that we have now.
Okay.
We have that electrical impulse within us that keeps our heart pumping, our synapses and neurons happening. And
Neurapses, yeah. You're right. I like neurapses better.
Synapses and neurons.
Anthropomorphizing my neurapses. Yes, but
that's how the car is going to learn, and that's how we're going to get our spirit into the Tesla. We're going to walk up to that car, and lights are going to turn on, and we're just going to touch it. And it's going to go, "Hi, Greg."
Yeah,
and we're moving on to that other stage and phase of the cars where it's going from mechanical spirit to electrical spirit, and there's still going to be the mechanical side. We still need fluids and bearing grease and hydraulic fluid and stuff like that. But
I hope so.
It's going to be aluminumized. It's going to be no longer steel. There's going to be plastic. It's going to be.
I hope it's not but yeah, because all the, I don't know, because can you have soul in a thing when it's plastic versus when it's steel? I remember having to read articles back when about how kids don't play with wooden toys anymore, and they're missing the warmth of a wooden toy.
Yeah.
I go, okay.
Yeah, but I had Lincoln Logs. So.
Yeah, Lincoln Logs, yeah, for sure. And these darn kids with their Legos is ruining America. No, it's like...
But there's something to be said for the wood crafting kit that you used to get versus the chemical kit versus the Legos kit versus the Super Mario kit versus... There is something to be said for that kind of a spiritual...
And do you think it ruins the spirituality of the of interacting with this mechanical thing?
Because who knows how to repair anything?
Well, it doesn't. It is because is there virtue, I guess, in being able to repair it or having it being repairable instead of being replaceable. Because it's not repairable, it's replaceable now. Tesla doesn't want to repair things. They don't have guys testing and things like that. They have major parts that they replace in whole.
How do you teach someone? Okay, let's get back to the how do you teach someone common sense? How do you teach someone how to problem solve? Math.
Okay.
Math is one of the best ways to teach someone how to problem solve. You give them this scenario, that scenario, and you need this to happen.
Okay.
Sometimes you reverse that. I need this to happen. What makes that happen? What are the 2 steps before that makes that happen? What plus what minus what divided by what gets you to your sum of what you need? Some people need to figure out how to come up with a certain amount of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you earn money? Right. You go get a job, stuff like that. But once you've got that part figured out, I need to stockpile 6 t-shirts so I can go to work without having to do laundry, right? I need to stockpile 6 pairs of pants, 6 pairs of underwear. How do you do that? Problem solve. Okay, I can buy this many this pay period, and I have to do this much laundry. You divide it by, you make things work for you. Problem solve.
Okay.
Does anybody know how to do that anymore? No, we just go to Amazon and get more.
Yeah.
So where's the spirit in that? Where's the spirit in anything anymore if you're not problem solving, if you're not figuring out how to do it for yourself?
Right. And then the next step of, like you mentioned, AI or whatever else comes next, that maybe it's great that it replaces our jobs on a lot of things, but I don't know if it replaces
spirit,
that hot rod guy who's turning wrenches, because
how do you customize that Tesla?
I think you'll have to learn how to adapt to
a bigger
that.
Battery pack.
What's that?
A bigger battery pack? Ooh.
Yeah.
I got a new battery pack in my Tesla. Yeah, it looks just like mine.
Longer, bigger, faster, louder. But I mean, it's supplementing cars. They went to electric and now they're coming back to hybrid is popular again. I don't think hydrogen is going to happen. I think it's going to be hybridization and whatever else, and then less and less, so that you can go 200 miles on a gallon of gas. Great, and there's amazing things you can do with that, and beautiful innovation and spirit in that. And I don't know how it's just going to get more and more difficult, and you're going to be less and less connected to your car as you are, even though as it moves on to more and more software based than it is hardware based. That
I don't know about that. I'm scared of what it's going to actually. You're going to be able to actually go and plug into your car.
Plug your head right into your car.
Yeah, because Musk is talking about being able to fix everything so that we're genetically correct.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, with his head implants. Yeah, brain implants.
And at that point, then why can't we just go USB port ourselves to the freaking car? And then the car is reading us, and we're just sitting there like this, and the car is doing whatever it is. And they're talking
folded in the back seat. Well,
and some of the stories that I like to listen to, like your future ones, or were alternate futures that cars are flying and on ground, and they're terraformed cars or they're airborne cars, and they have a fancy ceramo body skin on them that can regenerate itself.
Yeah.
So when it gets got in a collision, it fixes itself.
Yeah.
Where's the spirit in that? Okay, if it's fixing itself, it has to have a spirit because it wants to fix itself.
Have you seen Rob Ida's thing with his metal shaping robot arm?
No.
He's got 2 robot arms, one on each side, and it's pushing this piece of steel back and forth, and it's metal shaping it. Not hammering, it's just pushing. And it is forming it. Half hour, man. He's getting this CAD design into really complex shapes.
Huh.
And he's looking at it. He described it as, he says it's like this would have taken me 4 different pieces, and it could have taken me a week to do it, or 12 hours, or maybe, I mean, it would take me personally 4 months, but him 12 hours to do. And it's this nose cone for a Tucker torpedo concept car that he's building. And it's gorgeous. It's amazing. But you go, okay, these gigantic robot arms, okay, I'm ahead of that right now because nobody can afford this $15 million worth of robot arms. But so one pushing on the left side and one pushing on the right side, back and forth, hammer and dollying basically, but they're just pushing,
Right.
So like paintless dent repair, but pushing it, into all the way into major forms. And I mean, his flat sheet of metal, he had moved it up 12 inches, it looks like,
Jesus.
out of this thing. And the panel itself was only maybe 3x3 panel that he started with, aluminum, and he's stretching it out that far. And I just think, okay, then it turns away from anvil and hammer guy. That skill starts going away. Which it already has basically. There's probably 1,000 guys in the USA who are doing it, right?
Right.
And out of I don't know how many in the world. Maybe I bet you there's less than 20,000 of them in a world of 8 billion.
Yeah.
So at least that's how it feels. So if it
feels like an accurate number.
Yeah, and at least that's how many I follow on Instagram that are doing it.
Okay, so if those robot arms become a thing, right?
Yeah.
Won't those robot arms have a spirit and figure it out and become faster even?
Oh yeah.
And more efficient?
And then we'll be faster and everything else. But then the designer becomes even more important of answering or solving the problem that the designer is actually creating a solution to it too. It's just efficiency. And I think that can transfer a soul that way into that product. It's just another step removed, I think, because...
But that makes things a dying art. So what happened to the blacksmith? He became a dying art, right?
Yeah.
There's still blacksmiths, but
yeah,
that's a hobby and it's for cool things and stuff like that. So yeah, the body man's going to become a dead art. Mm-hmm. All that stuff is going to transition into something else. Yeah,
and I mean, I think that...
But the spirit of it will always be there. The spirit will always be in the vehicle, no matter what that vehicle is.
Yeah, let's say there's 300 of those guys in Colorado now. I think the next generation of their kids, there's probably going to be 30 of them.
Right.
And then it's gone again until some girl who's very curvaceous thinks it's cool, and then they'll come back and we'll think it's cool again, and then we'll start doing it. But I don't know. It's a shame that none of this translates into having getting chicks. But
shame.
I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe somehow. So one guy did it, I'm sure.
I think so.
But
might have been 2.
Yeah. So they don't procreate, is what I'm saying. There's not another generation.
Well, if they do, they don't claim it usually. But anyway, different subjects. Hot rods.
Yeah.
Hot rods.
Anyway, yeah. What were we saying? So yeah, I think that wraps it up. Not really wraps it up, but it does kind of say that there's more to them, and in the metal, that ghost in its shell, that spirit that's imbued into the creation, and it has value as long as it's valued by its creator.
By someone. It only takes one to value it.
I think so.
Because there's been some monstrosities that have been created that somebody values.
Yeah. But have you watched past some of these, $500,000 builds or whatever, and with a friend who's not into it?
Yeah.
And it's so hard to explain to them why this cost, $500,000 to build.
Well, you don't know how many times we had to explain those pictures on the wall.
Yeah.
Why did that car cost $700? What was the blue one?
Maybelline?
Yeah. Why did that cost so much? Why was blue suede shoes $580?
Yeah.
Why were those cars so expensive?
Maybelline's worth every penny. But I'm educated about it,
And some people don't see the craftsmanship that went into that, and some people don't see the fact that motor is one off, and you know, a high dollar bill just to have that work of art function. Much less take that one-off motor that functions and propel that one-off vehicle. You know, how do you explain that? Okay, you try to relate it to, like, if they have a shoe thing, like, you know, those pair of shoes that you just paid $800 for.
Yeah, sneaker guys. Yeah,
doesn't make sense to me.
No, I can't do it either.
But you know, that's their thing, and they can tell you the difference between those shoes and these shoes.
Because we get our shoes dirty.
What year they got? What year these came out? And stuff like that. And I can tell you what year the cars were made, and I can tell you what models.
Your Jordans. Oh my God. But yeah, exactly. So, I know that's okay. That's a great way to put it, because I can't either. I can't do it with those people. But
well, and that's to be said about a wine person. That's to be said about a coin collector. That's to be said about stamp collectors, for crying out loud. You know,
so
whatever it is that floats your boat, that spins your endorphins. That's where the spirit comes in.
Yeah, and anthropomorphizes your synapses. That I think that that's exactly the crux of what I'm talking about with this whole channel, is that I want to maybe not educate, because educate can sound bad, but to
like, you know more, right?
But to excite people about this stuff, about the spirit
of things,
mechanical thing, and maybe they have some sympathy with it too, and understand it, and want to do it themselves, or pay me to do it, pay you to do it, we can add value to it if you want to talk corporate sense, but add love to it. I think to what's going on, and maybe help out that car scene more.
Yes,
craftsmanship.
Get more interested in it. Discover a new spirit of it.
Hell yeah! Thanks, Greg.
Thank you. That was fun.
It was fun. That was way fun.
Let's do it again.